Hey, David McGuffin here. Welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday, January 17, 2022. Thank you guys for joining tonight. Looks like we have a good crowd, both on Zoom and Facebook. So looking forward to sharing with you some of our travels last month in December throughout Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and especially tonight, we're dealing with Italy. But before I get involved in all of that, I want to thank you again for sticking with us and to remind you that, gosh, we've been doing this Travel Talk Tuesday for now 13 months. And we have recorded episodes of every destination that I've ever been in Europe. I think there's probably 54 episodes that we have recorded online. And so if you like what we're doing tonight with Bolzano, but say you want to look at my take on Italy or my take on Rome or Dublin or other parts of Ireland or Scotland or Wales, it's always available for streaming online, free of charge, at davidmcguffin.com/TTT Travel Talk Tuesday. And there's an archive of every show that we've done, which we started December 1st, the first week of December 2020. All this evolved out of me just being tired of doing nothing during the COVID times. And it's turned out to be a great way for me to keep totally involved in my business and to keep people like you and others engaged in thinking about traveling. And whether you want to do it physically or virtually, at least we're showing you around Europe. Now, you know that I like on all my tours, wining and dining. And so tonight's menu that I'm fixing up has nothing to do with our destination. I was going to cook up something to do with our destination, and the time ran out and I didn't get to it. We were going to do sausage and roasty, but I always have a supply that I prepare the first week or so of the year of a whole lot of French onion soup stock and a whole lot of crab cakes that I make up. So that's what I'm doing. I freeze them. And so I thawed that out, and we didn't get to celebrate so much with New Year's and with our family or anything, because we were all having different issues with problems, medical problems and everything else. And so tonight, Leslie, Charlotte and I are going to have crab cakes and aioli sauce, homemade aioli sauce. And we're also going to have my famous recipe of French onion soup. And I'll share that with you a little bit. And as things are rolling along tonight, I'll prepare that too. Now, as far as the whining part goes, you may whine a little bit, W-H-I-N-E, when I hold this up, because this is the Chardonnay. I don't really have box wine too often, but I found this Chardonnay from California. It's from Costco, Kirkland's. It's 3 liters of it, and it's about $12. And it's pretty decent. Somebody's groaning about it. So, but that's pretty decent. And, you know, it's okay. Good drinking wine. And I've already publicized this. This is a wine that I can get at Publix. It's from the region of Italy. It's a red wine. It's from the region of Abruzzo in Italy, which is down south and east of Rome on the Adriatic coast. And it's called Montepulciano, the grape there. And this is inexpensive as well for 2 liter or for 1.5 liters. It's maybe $13 or so at your local grocery store. And that's a really good drinkable wine too. So we're not spending $50 or $60 on a bottle of wine tonight, but I just wanted to share that with you and let you know what we're doing. I always like to add a little extra bonus on things as well. But tonight we're talking about a region of Italy that not a whole lot of people get to. If you think about it, let me get the map going here, just a second. In Italy, north of Venice and Verona, and south of Innsbruck, Austria, and Munich, Germany. It's this little town right here called Bolzano. And this whole region, you'll hear me using different terms. You'll hear me using Italian words to name the towns or places. you'll also hear me using German words, because that region of Italy has transferred back and forth in history many, many times. And most recently, until before World War I, it was a part of the region of Austria, the Habsburg Empire, and also part of Bavaria. And so it was ruled there, and it wasn't until after World War I that things were divided up and Italy took over, and it became permanently a part of their boundaries. And so it's known in Italian as Bolzano, but in German or Austrian dialect, it's called Bozen, B-O-Z-E-N. So you'll hear me bouncing back and forth between German and Italian words. But I do want to tell you that the people in this region of Bolzano is in Italian, it's called the Alto Adige, the ridge, the high ridge of the Dolomite mountains. But in the Austrian language, it's called Sud Tirol or Southern Tirol. Tirol is the region where Innsbruck is in Austria. That's just above right here in this white section where Innsbruck, Austria is. So it's kind of confusing, but just know that I asked on our last night staying here in Bolzano, I talked to our waiter at our hotel, and we got to know him the last couple of nights. And I said, well, listen, what do you consider yourself? Are you a Italian? Are you an Austrian? What do you say when people ask where you're from? And he says, well, my passport is 100% Italian. And the region we live in, I speak as my first language, German. Second language, we speak Italian. Third language, everybody speaks English. And so there you go. And so they're very proud of where they live. As a matter of fact, if you go back on my YouTube channel and you look back many, many years ago, I posted, well, actually it was in 2016, I posted something from this town, and the caption on the YouTube channel was, of the video was German or Italian. And there's a lot of comments on there with people who do not like me using the word German to refer to the area there. So there you go. You can take it to that. Next week, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a village we went to up and above Bolzano, and I'm going to share with you some of the insights I got from the young lady who is the bartender at the train station about the kids that go to school there and everything else. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me jump into this. And this is our arrival just last month in a snowstorm, Florida boy driving in a snowstorm, arriving in Bolzano. This is actually going through the pass, the Brenner Pass, that divides Austria from Italy.
You're on. Okay, so we're on the Autostrada here in Italy.
It's actually a two-lane road.
We've just gone through Brenner Pass, and I think our latest elevation check was somewhere around 3,500 feet or so, but the snow is really deep and kind of hindering our travel. You can see the speed limit is 110 kilometers per hour. We're going pretty fast at 60, and we've been creeping along about 30 or 40 for the last 15 miles or so. So hopefully we'll be heading downhill. You can see these lights flashing in front of us are the snow plows and putting salt on the highway, the Autostrada as well. But we're trying to get down to Bolzano, and we're supposed to be there by now, but we've been delayed over an hour just because of excess snow today and a little hazardous road conditions. Not so much ice or anything, but just just trying to make sure we're being safe. So anyway, I guess we got about another hour before we get to our destination of Bolzano, which we'll let you know when we get there. I'm ready for some Glühwein when I get there, I can tell you that right now.
that was a long day of driving for me. If you've been watching the last couple of weeks, we had to cancel both our Christmas markets tours because the Christmas markets were closed in many of the destinations we were going. But we were fortunate to have our friends Bob and Judy Norris from Houston, Texas, join us, and just said, "Hey, we're going to go with you. We'll go along for the ride." So we were chasing Christmas was my episode last week. But we drove from Zurich, Switzerland this day all the way to Bolzano. And a lot of the driving was through part of Austria, the Tyrol area of Western Austria. And at that point, Austria was totally closed down for tourism. Everybody was locked down in their house. They could not leave unless they were going to the grocery store or the doctor. And driving through that segment of Austria was like a ghost town every little place we went. So it was kind of nice to go through Innsbruck, go through the Brenner Pass, and then you're in Italy and you began to see a little bit more commerce going on. The stations along the highway and everything were open.
Okay, your adventure starts right here.
Here we go.
With the David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. Talk to you later.
Hey, Tom, I see your message about using Peter from the Netherlands. He still drives for us. He's kind of our age. He's in retirement, but sometimes he comes out of retirement to drive for me. A great guy. First time we used him was in 2021. And
I don't know where Charlotte is. Somewhere in that hoodie.
Under here.
But us Floridians are having a blast here tonight in Bolzano, in Italy, northern Italy, in the Dolomites. The snow is coming down in just meters per hour, I think. So we're going into the Christmas markets and check that out. Got a wonderful hotel just down here in front of us. So let's go see what's going on in Bolzano at the Christmas markets. Hey, David McGuffin here. I am at the Christmas markets here in Bolzano, Italy, northern Italy, in the Alto Adige region. Just probably about an hour and a half south of Innsbruck and 2 hours north of Venice. Now, this is a Christmas market, and I'm at a tent here that's serving all kind of drinks, for anything from Kinder Punch, which is hot mulled punch for children, to Glühwein, which is what we have right now, and wine and everything else over here. But we've just sat here and brainstormed for beginning in 2022 in December for a brand new Christmas markets tour that hits some destinations that we traditionally do not go to. So we thought about doing this for 2022, and December is 2 nights here in Bolzano at this grand Christmas market here. The whole town is decked out for Christmas. And then we'll go up into the mountains about 35-40 minutes away to a little town called Castel Roto.
So I'm going to stop it there because Charlotte and I were standing around there drinking Glühwein around the fire, trying to warm up, and then deciding after we had traveled around for a week, what kind of new Christmas market tour we're going to come up with. And so when we arrived in Bolzano, we knew that had to be a destination. So here's the map of what I finally came up with. And that is, you fly into Frankfurt, Germany. And these are tours that it starts on a Sunday and ends on a Sunday. So you fly into Frankfurt, we visit Heidelberg, Germany, which is a little quaint little village and a university town up near the Rhine River. We cross across the border into France and stay in Strasbourg, which we did a Travel Talk Tuesday on that a few weeks ago. We visit Freiburg and spend a night in Freiburg, which is back over in Germany, another little town in the Black Forest. So we get to see the cuckoo clocks and the black gnomes in the forest and everything else like that. We visit Lindau. We stay in the village of Fussen, which is near the castle Neuschwanstein, and the little village of Schwangau. We drive across the border to Bolzano, which is where we are right now. And then we go back for the last night in Munich. It works out perfectly. So check that out if you're interested in doing a different type of 3-country tour to during Christmas. It starts the Sunday after Thanksgiving next year. So this is Piazza Walther, W-A-L-T-H-E-R, W-A-L-T-H-E-R.
Gosh, it is the height of Christmas season. Right here behind us is the main square, Piazza Walther, or Walter in English. And we just had a fantastic dinner at the restaurant Walther, or Walter. And it's kind of crazy. It's a pizzeria, but yet a full upscale restaurant. And what'd you have to eat, Charlotte? Oh, we split some.
We split everything.
Yeah.
We had an amazing lasagna with sausage, and then veal with potatoes.
Take your hat off because you look like a witch. There you go. That's much better.
No crone, maybe?
Yeah, here you go. That's much better. Yeah, so we had that lasagna with sausage and we think it's bechamel. That was layered there.
Amazing.
Was fantastic. And then we had, Charlotte said, the best apple strudel she's ever had in her life for dessert. What's the difference?
It was very light. The crust was not real doughy, elasticy.
And the apples were not really appley, like had a crunch to it.
It was very good.
Yeah,
They
and
were
there a little
crisp.
bit of cream on that as well. And so we booked the table again tomorrow night for our friends Bob and Judy. Maybe we go back have a pizza or something, I don't know. We had local red wine from here in the area, which we're not really familiar with the red wine from the area up here from the, I think they call it the Alto Adige, or the Dolomites. But it was a pretty good thing. Maybe a Cabernet blend or something. And so we like that as well. And but just being here, and we don't get this, we've done Christmas markets tours all over this part of the world in Europe for the past, 2011 or 12?
That's the first group.
Yeah.
And Tom
And
drove the tour here. on the-
yeah, and this is one of the best places we've been. Although we're not at a Christmas market tour, we're just kind of exploring. But this is for us Floridians, one of the best Christmas experiences here because there's tons of snow. So we've enjoyed it.
I was here in 2016. I had to look it back up because I was in between tours, and I finished up a tour in Venice, and I had 3 or 4 days before I had to go to Ireland. And so I rented a car in Venice, believe it or not. You can rent more than a boat in Venice. Rented a car and drove up to this area and spent 4 days here in Bolzano and in the alpine village of called the Alpi di Suisse, and also Castle Roto. And I'll share those 2 destinations with you next week. But you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like in the summertime too. It was fantastic. Well, I'll let this roll and I'll do a little commentary on top of it. This is Piazza Walther. This is the Duomo church. It was Gothic, was bombed out in World War II and rebuilt. I have a journal with me everywhere I go, and it's sitting there, and I write about my adventures and my food and wine. Here's just a hot dog stand. That's one of the best things to do when you're in those kind of German regions, Austrian regions. We were here, a Boy Scout troop showed up. They told me they were doing a convention in Europe. The Duomo. This type of roof tiles are very characteristic of the area in Tyrol.
Hi, David McGuffin here. I'm in Bolzano, Italy. It's in the region of the Dolomites, the mountain range here, almost to the border with Austria. In fact, this town, although it's Italian, has much more of a German or Austrian feel. I hope you enjoy this look around Bolzano, Italy.
Notice that sign right there says Sackertort. That's Habsburg Viennese, the special cake from Vienna. There's the entire town is pedestrian friendly. There are high-end shops all over the place. You can see this whole architectural style is more Austro-Italian than anything you would find in Germany or even further south in Italy. It's a flat town, although the elevation is about 2,000 feet. Bicycles are all over the place. And this market, you'll see later on when I show some video that we filmed last month. This market is here year in and year out, every month, selling fresh fruits, vegetables, flowers, all of that. It's called the Piazza della Erbe, or the square of the trees, or the plants, let's say that. I don't know if you saw that sign, it said DACA and Grazie all in one fell swoop. Here we're selling Sud Tyrol speck and speck alto adige. That's ham in 2 languages. This is the museum where there is a line there in 2006 to get in, a queue. And this is just walk right across the river, and here is the countryside right across the river from town. And this square here is called Piazza Victory, and it was attributed Mussolini as the one who built this triumphal arch there. You can see these arcades. If you've ever been to Innsbruck, or especially Innsbruck in the Tyrol area, these arcades protect people from the sun in the summer, the snow and the cold in the winter, and the shops are all lining beyond that, behind the arcade.
So this is the normal main shopping street, it appears, here in Bolzano. Via dei Concipelli. So it's decorated for Christmas, but you can see the shops that are here are traditional type upscale shops, some camping shops, a little bit of everything.
This was 2 days after that big snow on the first night that we showed you. Ice skating rink right in the main piazza, called Rathauptplatz in German or Austrian, and called Piazza dei Municipio in Italian. The main square where the city hall is. You can see these buildings are from the Baroque era, a lot of ornaments. The typical era for the Baroque. That's the city hall. These are inside of those arcades. Many shops lining the right-hand side. The street is just beyond the arcade to the left. A lot of presepe or nativity scenes. For display and for sale. I think it was close to between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. It was pretty dark at 5 o'clock when we were there. That's Neptune, the statue of Neptune. Back on this road, that's the market road every day of the year. And this is not just Christmas markets, this is, you come here every day to get your fruits, vegetables, meat, flowers, sit down, have a drink. Hot dogs, all of that stuff. Honey, potatoes, pepperoni, those red peppers, not pepperoni like we go on pizza here.
This street, Via
Pepperoni.
Francescani, is not just a Christmas market. These markets are here all year long, and people are here selling their wares, everything from fruits and vegetables to haven't seen any meat or fish or anything, but all kind of other sweets and things like this. And of course, all these stores are decorated up for Christmas. Here's the display right here.
That guy in the orange looks like Johnny Turner about 30 years ago.
Cafe. Buonasera. Here's the meat shop in here. The Malecheria.
It was pretty cold that night, about 30 degrees. Let me stop this here because this is, I showed you a few moments ago, this museum that I photographed the exterior in 2016, and there was a whole line of people lining up, similar to what you would see, say in Florence, to go into the Academy to see the statue of David. But inside this museum is a lot of artifacts from all through the region there of Southern Tyrol or Alto Adige. But one of the most important, or the important exhibit in that museum is this guy. His name is Ötzi, the Iceman, and he was found 53. He's dated to be living here in the hills between what we know as Austria and Italy 5,300 years ago. And he was a hunter-gatherer. And this is a wax depiction of him, but they actually, in 1991, let me look at my notes here. 1991, hikers were hiking up in the high mountains and discovered his frozen carcass, totally preserved in an ice bank. And since 1991, they have been excavating and taking not only Ötzi, but doing forensic investigations on him to see how he died. And not only was he there himself, but all his stuff that he was carrying with him in his backpack and everything. So his clothing, his axe, and all of that is preserved in that museum. And you can look through a huge window, and beyond that window is Ötzi and the other artifacts that are were discovered with him, and they're kept in a sub-zero environment. But this is the depiction of what they think he looked like when he was actually murdered or killed for some reason as he was crossing this high alpine pass between Austria and what we know as Austria and Italy. So that's a great attraction to go into. I want to tell you that Bolzano has a pretty good deal because if you stay in a hotel there, which is what we do for a couple of nights, they give you a Bolzano, what's called a Bolzano Pass. And it's good for admission to inside to the church, to the Duomo, to this museum, to take the lifts up into the mountains, which you're going to see next week. And so that's a value of at least 60 to 70 euro that you would typically spend if you went in here. So it is conducive and beneficial to stay overnight there, and that comes with your just the cost of your hotel room. So we were able, Charlotte and I, to walk in here. I had been telling her about this museum, and I said, okay, we need to go see it, but I don't know if we have time because it's almost 7 o'clock and they close at 7. I walked over there and there was nobody there. And so we were about 2 of 8 people in that museum walking through there. And granted, it was Christmas, closing hours, and during COVID-19 travels. But it was great to get in here and see Ötzi, the Iceman, and the other artifacts in the museum. So again, this is a depiction of what they think he looked like based on his body that's encased in ice. Again, flowers in the middle of winter. Walking down this main pedestrian street. You can see families are out. I think it's a Friday night. Most of the snow is dissipated from 2 nights before when it really poured down. Here's the Duomo, the church, the cathedral of the town. Originally built in the 1300s. And this is the Christmas market in Piazza Walther. In order to get into the Christmas markets here, you had to show you're fully vaccinated. So a green pass, the Italians call it, or we showed our CDC cards. We got an armband, and we were the first night, and we could go anywhere in that whole region with an armband without having to show our vaccination card or anything else. Had to wear a mask inside, but not outside. I wanted to stop here because this is a photo I took in 2016 in the summer of the guy named Walther, let me look at it, von der Volgelveide. And he was a local poet and bard who was very well known. And so that statue was erected in 1889 right there in that square. Now, at that point, the entire region was owned by Bavaria, or the Wittelsbach family, the same people that own the castle Neuschwanstein and that were ruling Munich. And so they gave this piece of land to the people of Bolzano, which at that time was a vineyard. And they said, we're going to give it to you free of charge or for a small amount of money. Let's put it that way. And you can, but you have to make a big piazza or a square out of it. And so they did that. They put this statue of the well-known local guy who was their poet and their bard. And that statue was put there in 1889 during the fascist time, and Hitler and Mussolini had it taken down, but not destroyed. And so after World War II, the statue was put back up there. So Piazza Walther, and the poet lives on forever in infamy there on the square in Bolzano. We're closing out on the end here. Just a few more frames of the Christmas markets. Being back in Italy after quite a few days in Germany was very nice. I shared with you, Charlotte and I shared with you what we had the previous evening. This night we went back to the same place, and we at the Cafe Walther, and we had pizza. Bob, I think, got steak and potatoes. And then the following evening, we ate at our hotel restaurant, which was fantastic. Charlotte had some risotto, another was Tyrolean wine, red wine from the area. I'm not sure what that is, but it looks good. And ravioli. I think Judy got the ravioli with the Italian flair. And this is some sauerbraten or pork that's with the cabbage and everything. And look at there, there's some baked ziti. Go figure, we're in Italy. So just to recap, that was in Bolzano, right down here, the furthest southernmost part of area that we're doing on our Christmas markets tour for next year. Remember that Christmas market tour, I'm calling it Christmas markets of Germany, Italy, and France. Although it goes Germany, France, Italy, Germany is how we're doing it. But so 2 nights in Strasbourg in France, 1 night in Freiburg, 1 night in Füssen which are both in Germany, 2 nights in Bolzano, and our last night in Munich. So we'd love you to check that out. That begins the Sunday after Thanksgiving next year. And just to advertise next week, we're highlighting the high alpine regions above Bolzano. So Bolzano is about, let's say, around 2,000 feet. And these areas called over Bolzano or over Bolzen, and also the villages of Castelrotto are around 4,000 to 5,000 feet. And so I'm going to highlight those next week, but we had a great time spending parts of days doing that as well. That's a region of looking over the Dolomite Mountains. And with that, that kind of concludes Travel Talk Tuesday. I want to get my French onion soup into the oven and baking and do some little bit of the crab cakes. We thank you guys so much for being around and watching us tonight. Thanks for the great audience. I hope it's been beneficial and enjoyable to you. And if you have any questions, be sure to text me or email me, however we want to do that. We'd love to have you visit with us and travel with us sometime. So until next week, hey, your adventure starts right here from Middleburg, Florida, with David McGuffin's Exploring Europe. See you later. Bye-bye.